Hey guys! So, as you can tell by the lighting, it's not a filming day today. But because I got everything working so the Xbox can be recorded with my OBS, I decided that if I'm going to talk about these exploits on stream, rather than wasting more stream time trying to make sure that we can hit the right circumstances, or, like I did last night and accidentally screwing up and forgetting an important step on the exploit, I'm just going to make new save files in the cases of New Vegas and some things like that, where we can build specifically to get the exploit, or we can worry about the RNG, or in things like Oblivion, where it's a game-wide exploit that you can do pretty easily if you know what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and just load up the save file that includes that exploit and show you how it works and how it affects the game. So that way we don't have to worry about fudging up a stream or sacrificing fun just because I'm running off trying to get this exploit to work and not actually indulging in the game. So, enjoy! First up, Fallout New Vegas. When you wake up at Doc Mitchell's office, go ahead and name yourself whatever you want. We've chosen to name our handsome bastard Silvertongue. This time, Benny didn't shoot us in the head because he wanted the platinum chip, but because he was too damn scared that we were going to take over the strip with just how charming and charismatic we are. As we stumble our way over to the Vigor machine, we're going to go ahead and start setting our special. First things first, we're going to set everything down to 1 so that we have a full 33 points to work with. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead, and because this is a speech build, we need to go back to Charisma and pump it all the way back up to 10. Past this, you can put your special however you want. I personally prefer Luck and some Endurance, so I'm a little hardier, but again, it's up to you. Just make sure your Charisma is at 10, and then we'll move on to the Psych Eval. When it comes to the Psych Eval, we're going to go ahead and give it to the me who recorded this earlier, so that way I don't have to re-record all the explanations. So because we want speech...
All right. I'm going to talk.
We want train.
House.
House. We want... Well, this one doesn't really matter because this one doesn't give you anything towards speech. So we're going to go with burglarize.
Night.
Night. We'll go for treasure. Those two give us points towards lockpick, which is going to come in handy. Bandit, we want reasonable.
Light.
Light, we can go ahead and go with anything, because dark gives us sneak, heavy gives us unarmed, beam gives us energy weapons, flash explosives, inspiration science, and torch repair. So pick whatever the hell you want, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go with dark because we do need some sneak.
Mother.
Mother, we want tattle for that speech bonus.
Okay. Now I got a few statements. I want you to tell me how much they sound like something you'd say. First one. Conflict just ain't in my nature.
And this one, we want to strongly agree for the speech and sneak.
I ain't given to relying on others for support.
Strongly disagree so that we can get the speech.
I'm always fixin' to be the center of attention.
Now, if you want sneak, you want to disagree with this one, but because we want speech, we want to agree.
I'm slow to embrace new ideas.
This one doesn't really matter, it can go either way. If you want science and energy weapons, disagree. If you want survival, unarmed, and melee, go ahead and agree. I am probably not going to have an opinion this time.
I charge in to deal with my problems head on.
Again, this one doesn't give you any speech or sneak. If you agree, that will be unarmed and melee. If you disagree, that's guns, energy, weapons, and explosives, which we kind of want with this build because we're not totally squishy, but we're not a tank, so we're going to go ahead and disagree.
Almost done here. What do you say you have a look at this? Tell me what you see.
Okay, so we want a shadow and a door frame for that sweet sneak.
Okay. How about this one?
Now, if you want barter, go ahead and say it's a priceless work of art. But because we want speech again, we want to say it looks dirty.
Last one.
And this one will be a head on a pillow, even though we know it's two bears high-fiving, for that sneak bonus.
Well, that's all she wrote. I don't have nothing to compare it to, so maybe you'd better just have a look at the results. See if it all seems right to you.
Okay, so speech is at 42, sneak is at 32, and explosives is at 32. We don't really need explosives. We are going to put repair, because that'll help us out. So that'll work.
Before I turn you loose, I need one more thing from you. I got a form for you to fill out so I can get a sense of your medical history. Just a formality. Ain't like I expect to find you got a family history of getting shot in the head.
Okay, this one, you can go ahead and take good natured, because we do want that. We don't really care about the energy weapons and all that shit, because yeah, it's a permanent -5 debuff, but it also gets us that +5 on barter, medicine, repair, science, and speech. So this all goes towards our speech. And then we're gonna go ahead and take Wild Wasteland, because that's just a staple with me.
All right, I guess that about does it. Come with me, I'll see you out.
Once you're done with your psyche val, don't forget to rob Doc Mitchell blind, and then go ahead and run out into the Mojave sun so that we can run over to the saloon to meet Sunny Smiles. You're going to want to do all three parts of Sunny's quests, from shooting bottles in the back of the saloon, to shooting geckos at the water wells, and finally gathering the ingredients for healing powders. Don't forget to stop by your grave to pick up a distinctive cigarette, and also to pick up a Mojave snow globe. Once you've done that, go ahead and make the long, slow journey to Prim, clear out the locals, and then begin a very, very long conversation with Johnson Nash. Be sure to take every dialogue option except for playing Caravan. And I do mean every dialogue option. When you're done, head back out of the casino. Go ahead, hit the Mojave Express if you want to, but then head south out of town. Look to the east, so that you can climb over this little bluff and then follow this path through the mountains. Don't forget to loot this prospector, but be careful as this is a radioactive patch. This path is also going to take you past the Jackal's Den and the Prospector's Den, so make sure that you're ready for a firefight. Any side quests you take in Good Springs, as well as combat on the road, is going to help us out when we level up so that we can get that 40 to 50 speech that we need in order for this exploit to work. Also, I would highly recommend taking the Educated and Swift Learner perks as soon as possible. Swift Learner will give you a 10% bonus to experience whenever you gain it, and Educated means that you get 2 skill points per level. These are going to help us maximize when we start to grind. Once the jackals are done, keep going and you'll realize we've reached the train tracks. Turn north and go ahead and keep following them until you reach the emergency service rail yard. I got a little bit turned around and had to turn back, but as you can see on the Pip-Boy, if you don't feel like going through Prospector's Den, you can keep going towards Mojave Drive-In, go up through Nipton, and then head to Novak on the road. However, this is a bit of a gamble as you can piss off Caesar's Legion, which is going to make the path more difficult down the road. At the Emergency Service Railroad, we want to hook back east and climb up the mountain in order to get to Prim Pass. Yes, it is full of skeletons, and in this particular instance, a bright follower's corpse, but don't worry, I don't think I've ever seen anything too dangerous in this pass, it's just a little bit spooky. Once you get out of Prim Pass, keep going towards the cliffs until you find Harper's Shack. Once you find Harper's Shack, make sure you've got your biggest guns and your best armor, because this is gangland, baby! and we're gonna have to get ready for a massive firefight. As you can see, our new friends don't quite like our caravan shotgun, so we're gonna need a little heavier of a toy. Yeah, the grenade launcher should do it. Once the area has been pacified, go ahead, keep heading east, and keep an eye out, because eventually you will see a highway. Oh, look! There's some of that Caesar's Legion that I warned you about earlier. No matter if you chose to come up through Nipton or go through Harper's Shack, once you get onto the highway, head north and you'll find this place, Ranger Station Charlie. This is the important bit as we hook east one more time, going through this little corridor which is guarded by more Caesar's Legion and which also includes a quest important cave which we're not going to bother with right now until we find another highway. Hook north again and keep going with Dinky in your sights, but be careful as there is a Viper's Den here and they will fire on you. Once we get into Novak, head into the Dino Delight Hotel and talk to Jeannie May. Once again, we want to exhaust every dialogue option except for I want to rent a room. Once you get out of the hotel, silently thank the gods that you can just quick travel back to Prim and take a breath. It's already been a long ride, but we're almost done. Once you get back to Prim, go ahead and enter the Bison Steve. Now, depending on your playstyle, you can choose to take this next part stealthy, or as I've done, you can just grab your grenade launcher and knock with the righteous fury of God. Once you kill these two guards, go ahead and head towards this door, which has an easy lock. As long as you have a lockpick of 25, this should be no problem. Go ahead and clear out the rest of the gang, and now, finally, it is time to see if all of our hard work paid off. Go ahead and check on Deputy Beagle and go through his dialogue until you can ask about the men who kidnapped you. At this point, he'll say that he'll gladly tell you everything as soon as he's released from captivity. Now you'll get a speech check that says you can tell me or you can rot in here. Once you pass the speech check, you'll get experience as usual and go ahead and click through on the next dialogue option. Now, we'll be back at the speech check. From now on, the exploit is active. You can go ahead and click this speech check again, and then keep going through the dialogue and loop and loop and loop. So long as you don't set Beagle free, you can go ahead and exit the conversation at any time to let your skills and levels catch up, and you can grind up to the maximum even with DLCs involved. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of hours in order to get that far, but hey, you came this far just for the exploit. Why stop now? Next up, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, both original and remake. This isn't so much an exploit as it is taking advantage of a broken mechanic. In order to pull it off, you'll need some setup. First, you'll need access to the Enchanter's Table at the Imperial College or Frostcrag Spire, ideally completely restored, but at least with Mage Tallow candles installed into the Altar of Enchantment. The second thing you'll need is access to the Chameleon spell. This can be achieved one of two ways. Either you could have created an alteration build and or ground until you've reached an alteration level of 50, and then bought the spell from the Mages College in Breville, which, by the way, is handily accessible from Frostcrag once it's been entirely restored, or you can find the Shadowstone and gain the greater power of Fingernail Moon. Either way, head back to the enchantment table of your choice and bring along 5 pieces of clothing or 5 pieces of jewelry. Enchant each one of these with Chameleon powered by a Grand Soul Gem, and they'll each have 20% Chameleon, which stacks. This will render you totally invisible, but makes the game laughably easy. No one can see you, no one will interact unless scripted, and even bosses like Umbra or situations such as Sanctuary Purge of Cheydinhal or the Arena become cakewalks. To round out our big three, we have Stardew Valley. These are outright cheats, which sources say that ever since Concerned Ape started releasing the newer updates, they no longer work on console, so these are PC exclusive. In order to activate these cheats, you're going to have to go into the save file for your farm and then open up this file in Notepad. This is a bunch of wall of text, but don't worry, we can always go into find and then just look up cheats. This will bring up the false flag, which we then simply turn to true. Load Stardew back up and go into the farm that you just edited the save file for. Go ahead and pop up a dialog box with the / command. Now the fun can begin. There are, of course, commands such as / money plus whatever number, which will then set your wallet to that number. But if you prefer to be a bit more diabolical or lazy, go ahead and put in / debug IQ all _items for a list of every item in the game, including any mods that you may have installed. Of course, that may still be just a little bit overwhelming, so we can, of course, modify it. Pop open your dialog box again and modify that command with parentheses W for weapons, TR for trinkets, B for boots, T for tools, FL for floors, WP for wallpapers, and BC for big craftable items such as houseplants, cheese presses, preserve jars, and more. Now that's all well and good, but what about our farm? It still looks like crap and it's kind of puny. That's okay. Let's go off screen for a minute. Now pop up our dialog box and put in debug set up big farm. This will give us a cascade of errors because they can't place certain buildings, but that's fine because now our farm looks amazing. We have a path, a huge amount of tilled land which goes all the way down to our second pond, a row of torches, furnaces, preserve jars, kegs, cheese presses, and even several spots of grass and an orchard, which will help us out greatly. It unfortunately does not repair our greenhouse or do anything for our cave. So what about our house now that we have this great farm? Well, let's go off screen again, pop up another dialog box, and now put in debug house upgrade plus a number from 1 through 3. I chose 3. And just like that, we now have a maximum upgraded house. This includes our bedroom, the nursery, and of course what everybody wants, the basement with the aging barrels. Now you will have noticed that because we did this like this through console commands, we have a mysterious floating window in the stairwell, but we can easily move that to wherever we want it. And that will finish off Stardew Valley and round out our big trio of exploits. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, it's not goodbye, it's until next time.